Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today in this video, I am going to continue my counting down my 100 favorite albums of all time. And I'm down to number 46 on my list, so a little over halfway through my list now. And I should say, when I'm thinking about doing these favorite album lists that I'm doing, that of course, there's so many more albums I haven't gotten to, I haven't listened to, and so many more artists I haven't really checked out. So obviously, I'm still learning and still growing and still, listening to music. And so this is my 100 favorite albums I made up maybe a year or two ago. I kind of came up with this 100 greatest albums, but a lot of the albums are on my list. I still need to kind of continue to listen to and grow on. Of course, because over time, albums will grow on you more. Anyway, so this list definitely is a list that will be re-advised in the future and probably have a better feel for what are my favorite albums. So this is kind of just a quick list that I made a couple years ago, maybe, of my favorite albums. Anyway, so definitely it will look different in the future. And of course, it's so hard. There's a million albums out there, a million artists. It's hard to get to all of them. So definitely something I hope to keep listening to and keep rediscovering new music. So, but here at number 46, I have the album Desperado by the band Eagles, and this came out in 1973, and it's their second studio album. I already talked about Hotel California. It came at number 53 on my list, which came later. I forget what album that was, but it came a little bit later. Not too much, I don't think, but a little bit later. In the 70s, and that was I only have two Eagle albums on my list, so Hotel California and then Desperado. So Desperado is my favorite Eagles album from what I've listened to, and I've listened to I think all the Eagle albums, and those are two that really stood out to me. And when I first was making this list and I was listening to Eagle album, which I'm a big fan of the Eagles, I love their big hits, always have since I was a kid and I was listening to oldies music. Eagles music was always had some of the great songs, and of course it has what I love the most: great harmonies, great melodies, really great musicianship as far as guitar playing. I think even drumming and all that. They just can do it all, in my opinion. And when I was thinking about, when I knew Hotel California was like that's the big album for the Eagles, I think. That's probably their biggest and best known album. And so I assumed that Hotel California was going to be higher on my list. Was going to be my favorite Eagles album. And I was listening to Desperado. I knew Desperado was also kind of a well-known album, and I was kind of surprised because when you look just at the song list, I only knew a couple songs on this album, and so I wasn't expecting this to be higher than Hotel California. And then I'm listening to it, and I finally was like, I kind of like this a little better than Hotel California, which is probably, I'm guessing most people probably put Hotel California probably over this one, and I wouldn't blame them to. I think Glenn Kellaway said he liked this album better than Hotel California, so I'm not alone exactly on this. But yeah, I just found myself just really loving this album the more I was listening to it, and so I put it a little bit higher than Hotel California. Of course, the Eagles, this album, the songs are based on themes of the Old West. It has a very Old West feel to it, the songs and everything. And you look at the cover of the album, the members of the Eagles are dressed in kind of Old West outfits, cowboy outfits, with gun holsters and hats and everything. So it was interesting that I find it very fascinating. I was kind of surprised when I saw this was their second studio album, and they already were like, hey, let's try a concept album. Let's do an album based on a theme. I was like, that seems kind of early on in your career. I would feel like that's something you want to do maybe later on in your career after you made a couple really big hit albums, and then you go, hey, let's do something out of the box and do a theme. The Beatles tried a theme with Sgt. Pepper's, and that came much later, kind of in their albums after their huge success. And they did Sgt. Pepper's, was not exactly a concept album, but kind of started out as. I don't know if I can think of a lot of concept albums on top of my I know like David Bowie, I think does concept albums, but I'm not real familiar with him. The Who started doing that in the late '60s. Pete Townsend loved doing the with Tommy and Quadrophenia, I believe he tried to, or even Who's Next. I think he was trying to do some kind of a concept. So that's kind of interesting idea that bands try after they're, I think, established. So, but so it's I have something of them, I think, to already be like, hey, let's try a theme here on the second studio album. But it worked really well. They came up with some really great themes, and it works well within what they like to do, anyways. Because when I was looking up, what genre is Eagles, they're considered country rock. But I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good description, because I was just thinking of them as a rock band, but they definitely do have a country flair sometimes to them. Because they got those great harmonies, they got a great acoustic guitar work. They can do rock songs also very well because their guitar players are really good as well. But they're not like a hard rock band necessarily. They got some good rock in them, but mostly I think their best work is when they're doing more of the easygoing acoustic songs with great harmonies and melodies. And that's what I love the most about the Eagles is I feel like I listen to the music, especially like this album, and I just lay back and just so soothing listening to their music to me. The cover is also the only Eagle cover that has the members of the band in it. All the other albums don't have any of the members' pictures in it. It's just pictures of like a hotel or outside or whatever, or some kind of logo. There's two big singles coming off of. I say big singles. There's two singles that came off of this album: Tequila Sunrise, which came at number 64 on the singles list, and Outlaw Man came out at 59. So the singles didn't do huge. The biggest thing you're gonna say is, what about Desperado? That's like the most well-known song off. The song is called, the album's called Desperado, and Desperado is a big song of theirs that came off the album. And Desperado was definitely the most well-known song, biggest hit song off this album. But they didn't put it out as a single, which is very, strange thing. 'Cause I'm sure it would have been pretty high on the charts if they came out with a single, Desperado. But it definitely was maybe the most radio played song that they had anyway. So that's kind of odd. So looking at it, their singles didn't do particularly great in that case compared to like Hotel California, which was a huge hit. The album overall went number 41 on the chart, so again, not one of the biggest albums. Like I said, Hotel California was definitely their biggest selling album and biggest charting album, if I remember right. This didn't do nearly as well, which I don't know why. Like I said, it's a very good album. I would put it up there. Is their best album in my opinion. But I think just the hits, they didn't have the hit songs I think Hotel California had, with Hotel California, New Kid in Town, Life in the Fast Lane. Some of those songs are a little bit bigger, I think, than this album. The song Desperado, like I said, comes on the album, ranks number 494 on Rolling Stone's 2004 list of top 500 or 500 greatest songs. So it barely makes it into the 500 greatest song list, but it does make it on there. So it definitely was a pretty big song at the time. From the research I did, it said that it started out as a concept album about anti-heroes by Glenn Frey, one of the members of the Eagles. So he sounds like it came from it was an idea that he came up with of doing a concept album about anti-heroes, which goes to outlaws. In fact, on the album, you have titles such as Desperado, which I think is kind of like an outlaw type guy. Definitely a kind of old Western type name. But you got Dueling Dalton on here, which is a Dalton gang, talking about the Dalton gang. Sometimes those old Western gangs are somehow immortalized because sometimes they're stealing from the rich kind of thing, and so sometimes they're kind of looked at as almost anti-heroes, as they say. They're doing a bad thing by maybe stealing, but they're stealing from the bank. Maybe they're stealing from a company that is corrupt or maybe has money. So sometimes they become folk heroes in that way. Outlaw Man is another song on here, so definitely has that feel of anti-hero. And what I saw, of course, Jackson Browne's a huge friend of theirs, and I think contributed a lot to some of their music and wrote some of their songs or co-wrote at the time. Instead, Jackson Browne got a book on gunfighters. I guess he was interested in Western stuff like gunfighters, and he got a book on gunfighters of the Wild West for his 21st birthday. And so I think Glenn Frey probably saw that. He had the book, and that interested him in the whole idea of let's do a concept album of anti-heroes because he saw this book on gunfighters. So kind of interesting idea that you don't see. I don't know if people still do concept albums. That's a big thing. It's an interesting idea to try to come up with a theme. And I think even the Beatles, like Hard Day's Night, they said, okay, what's the concept? What do you want us to write about on this album? And the people that were making the movie said, just write Beatles songs. Like, you don't need it doesn't need to tie in with the plot of the movie. Just, we want you to write what you write best, and we just want to be a good album. So it's interesting that you can come up with a concept and still come up with somehow come up with really good songs surrounding that concept. Is very interesting to me, and what I like about this album. If you don't know the members here, I like to always say who are the members of the band. Kind of give them all credit for making this album. Eagles, I already talked about them in Hotel California, but it's funny when I look at the members of that list, and I look at the members of this list, it's a little bit different. They had some changing parts in their band. I think the only two real core members that you had to have to be the Eagles was Glenn Frey and Don Henley. Those are definitely two most important members of the band. I think those are the two that really kind of came together first and then created the band around those two. And they definitely are the most prolific songwriters and lead singers in the band. So, of course, like I said, you have Glenn Frey, who plays guitar. He's some lead vocals on here. Don Henley does drums and lead vocals on songs. Randy Meisner is bass guitar player, which I think he was the same maybe for Hotel California. The difference is the lead guitar here is Bernie Leadon, while on Hotel California he had John Fielder and John Walsh. I believe his name was that. Am I saying that right? Walsh, anyways. So it's interesting that you had different members, but yeah, it still sounds like the Eagles. I'm sure there's if you really analyze it, there's maybe some differences between the guitar players as far as guitar playing style. I'd say for the most part, this album, like I said, it has more of a country feel to it because it has an Old West theme to it. So definitely some songs like Dooley Dotland definitely has a country feel to it. I thought Certain Kind of Fool had a country feel to it. There's some like country guitar picking on the acoustic guitar and some banjo playing that definitely makes it feel that way. On Saturday Night, there's a mandolin on that song. Anyways, and so all that kind of definitely more of I felt like a laid back acoustic feel to a lot of these. Of course, Desperado is like this beautiful piano piece. There are two rock songs on here, Outlaw Man, and there's another one that I forgot to write down, Out of Control, I think it was called. And those were the two kind of more hard rock songs on the album, I would say, while everything else was definitely more acoustic based. So I go to my top 3 favorite songs on this album. And kind of honorable mentions, I would say Dueling Dotland I found to be a really fun song, really catchy song. I thought a really good one for them that I wasn't familiar with. Like I said, Outlaw Man was one of their singles, came off of this. Definitely I think the hardest rock song on here. Pretty good song. And then Certain Kind of Fool has really great, probably one of the best vocals. And a lot of songs had great vocals, but the vocals and the melody is really great on Certain Kind of Fool on this album. It has some great guitar picking on it. But number 3, I'm going with Saturday Night. It's a really beautiful song. I love the mandolin in it. The mandolin sounds really great with the acoustic guitar on the song, the way it starts. And I don't know who the lead singer, I didn't look at the lead singer. It's usually, like I said, Don Henley or Glenn Frey. The lead vocals, very beautiful, very good. And then you get to the chorus, and then all the other members come in, and you have this amazing harmonies in the chorus. And whatever happened to Saturday night? And that's kind of how the chorus goes. And the chorus is just beautiful because all the voices come together. That's why I love the Eagles so much, is when they do stuff like that. And just beautiful and real nice, catchy chorus to it. And yeah, just really blew me away because it's a song I never really heard of until I was listening to the album. So it's almost like a deep cut to me. So I say definitely check out Saturday Night if you don't know that song from the Eagles. It's not a song that comes on any of their greatest hits albums, but a great song. Number 2, I'm going with Desperado, the uh, the title song for this Desperado, probably the most well-known song. With Don Henley doing the vocals, really beautiful. Much I feel like a little bit different than all the other songs. I said it's more of a piano ballad, which is a little different than what they were used to doing, and I would say definitely more slower paced song than most of their songs, which I don't like if it's too slow, but this doesn't feel too slow to me. It's still just a very beautiful song. Very, like I was saying to somebody after listening to this, I just sing it when I'm in the shower. I'm singing Desperado. When I'm in the car, I'm singing Desperado. It just got in my head and it just can't go away. And I love when I think about the song, I think about a Seinfeld episode where Elaine is dating this boyfriend who gets mesmerized by the song Desperado. And every time, if they're listening to the radio and Desperado comes on, he kind of looks off in the distance in this look of like just mesmerized by the song, and he can't think of anything else but the song. And he even tells Elaine, shut up right now. I just gotta listen to the song. He's just he has to drop everything and listen to the song until it's over, and he can't talk to him, can't do anything with him. Very funny concept. I don't think I've ever had a song where I totally do that. But I kind of understand how, a song could kind of make you go, man, I just want to listen to the song. Anyways, number one, I'm going with Tequila Sunrise. I don't know if that's a surprise there. Desperado might be the most well-known, but Tequila Sunrise, it's very close. I like all three songs so much on this album, but I go with Tequila Sunrise because I love just the laid-back feel of the song. It's just one of the best laid-back feel, and the vocals and everything. Great harmonies, great acoustic guitar playing. You just want to sit back, and I don't drink tequila, but sit back, drink a glass of wine, and look at the sun or something like that, and just enjoy life. That's what I feel like when I listen to that song. So that's why Tequila Sunrise is number one song for me on this album. And said this album, Desperado, number 46 on my list of top 100. And so thank you for watching this video, and for thank you for anybody who liked it. And please comment, what do you think about Desperado? What's your favorite Eagles album or song or whatever we think about the Eagles? I'd love to hear. Hopefully Rich Strickler's watching this. I know he has a lot of opinions on the Eagles, what he thinks about this album, and others. So thank you, and thank you to all of this subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.